Hello friends, today again I am before you to discuss yesterday's question and give a model answer for that. So now let us see what was the question yesterday and what can be the model answer. If you remember, the question which we took yesterday was from Western philosophy pertaining to Aristotle. So now this is the question. Discuss Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia. Is it a satisfactory foundation for ethics? So this is the question. Now let us try to answer it. Now, anyway, clearly there are two parts in the question. If you see, first, you have to discuss what is the concept, and second, whether it is a satisfactory foundation for ethics or not, that you have to tell, and then finally critically evaluate and conclude. So now let us start with a little introduction. Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia, translated as flourishing or well-being. So this is the literal translation of that Greek term, is the central goal of human life in his ethical theory. And this is expounded in his book Nicomachean Ethics. Unlike transient pleasures as in hedonism or rigid duties as in Kantian ethics, eudaimonia refers to the fullest actualization of human potential through rational and virtuous activity. So this is what it actual meaning which can be described. Aristotle's view of eudaimonia, what is that? Let us see now in second part. Now, Aristotle defines it as activity of the soul in accordance with the virtue over a complete life. So this is his definition. Activity of the soul in accordance with virtue over a complete life. It is rooted in his teleological view of nature. Aristotle's philosophy is teleological, we know already. So this whole concept is again rooted in his teleological view of nature, where everything has a function and everything is striving towards a goal. So that is teleology basically. So everything has a function, and the human function is rational activity. Now, what are those? Moral virtues are acquired through habituation. What are moral values? Courage, temperance, justice, etc. Intellectual virtues, for example, practical wisdom, guide right action. External goods, that is health, friendship, fortune, etc., are seen as necessary supports but not ends in themselves. So this is how rational activity of human Aristotle has divided in three parts. Now, unlike Plato's, because Plato we know he has given theory of forms, his focus is transcendent forms. So unlike Plato's theory of forms or Plato's focus on transcendent forms, or even Kant's emphasis on moral law, because Kant's duty-based ethics or moral law, Aristotle offers a grounded this worldly ethics aimed at human flourishing through balance and rational moderation. Aristotle's ethical theory is also called doctrine of mean. So because it represents a balance and rational moderation also of different virtues. Now let us examine, is it satisfactory ethical foundation or not? So for examining, let us see what are its strengths and what are its criticisms or weaknesses. Strengths, first we will see. It provides a holistic character-based ethics focused on long-term moral development rather than isolated acts. Because it's teleological, so one has to develop basically. So definitely it's development oriented, it's teleological, it's holistic, character based, and it focuses on long-term development. It avoids rigid formalism or reductionist hedonism seen in Kant or Bentham. Because Bentham is utilitarian, he has given the pragmatist theory of utilitarianism. Kant again duty-based ethics, so it basically avoids both. Now it has been revived because of its utility. It has been revised in modern times also by philosophers like McIntyre and Foote, who argue that eudaimonia-based virtue ethics offers a coherent alternative to fragmented modern moral theories. Now, what are its limitations? Its bias is elitist. Aristotle excludes women, slaves, and those without leisure. So, Aristotle's views are considered aristocratic, elitist, and not for whole society, because women, slaves, etc., are excluded from that. And accordingly, Martha Nussbaum, another modern philosopher, she basically reinterprets eudaimonia through her capability approach, rejecting Aristotle's uh, concept of eudaimonia. Then again, it lacks moral universality, offers no procedural guide for resolving moral dilemmas, just like Kant's categorical imperative, because Kant's categorical imperative are universal basically. They can resolve any kind of moral dilemma or give at least clear-cut guidelines that this should be done. Then again, pluralism challenge, the assumption of a single teleos, that a single goal or single goal-oriented theory, may not hold in diverse modern societies. So again, this is again a problem. Now, what can be the conclusion? Despite its contextual shortcomings, eudaimonia remains philosophically rich and enduring foundation for ethics, grounded in human nature, focused on virtue, and relevant to personal and civic life. Its revival underscores, because it has been revived uh, by some philosophers in 20th century also, its revival underscores its continuing significance in moral philosophy. Now, this question basically also you can understand the concepts explained here are important for GS4 ethics also, because paper also, because Aristotle's virtue ethics, basically this is virtue ethics, which is uh, uh, development oriented, teleological, human being. So this kind of ethics is linked with Aristotle in historical times, modern times also. You see, these are the philosophers with whom it's linked. That is McIntyre, Philippa Foot, and then Martha Nussbaum. So this, why I'm telling, because while discussing various ethical theories in GS4 ethics paper, also this is one of the important, because Aristotle's virtue ethics is also important consideration there. So that also we should understand. This just I'm mentioning because the students, definitely all students have to attend GS4 ethics paper. So particularly for philosophy students, it should be quite familiar and easier to understand the terminology of ethics and ethical nuances. So that's what, therefore I am telling this. So now this completes the model answer for yesterday's question. Now today we will take up another question from Indian philosophy. Now let us see what is that question, which we will try to answer tomorrow. I've examined Charvak critique of inference, that is Anuman, as a means of knowledge. So this is the question. Examine the Charvak critique of inference, that is Anuman, as a means of knowledge. Now this question we will take up tomorrow for discussion and giving the model answer. Tomorrow again we will take up another question from philosophy of religion, which we will be answering day after tomorrow. So thanks a lot for watching today's video. We will meet again tomorrow with the questions, model answer for Indian philosophy.